Bermuda grass is one of the worst types of grasses for shade. So why did we plant Bermuda grass right here under this tree? So, Bermuda grass underneath this huge, ginormous tree here. Is this a good idea or a bad idea? So this huge field here was just sodded about 2 months ago. This is all brand new Bermuda grass sod. So all here in full sunlight. This grass here is going to do great. We get plenty of sunlight here. Bermuda grass needs a full 8 hours of direct sunlight for it to really grow healthy and thick. So overall, this big plot here of grass is going to end up doing just fine. But the problem we have is underneath this huge tree here, which looks fantastic right now. This was just planted 2 months ago, and this grass is doing great. We're in the springtime. I think today's date is May 9th. Right now, this grass looks fantastic. It just started growing, and it seems to be a great choice underneath this tree. You can still see the lines of how new this sod is. There you can see kind of the outline of a block of sod here. So for now, this grass is doing great. But what's going to happen in the future? In the near future, this grass is going to start to thin out. You really don't want to plant sod right up next to a tree like this. So not only is the shade going to choke out this grass, but the ginormous roots of the tree are going to suck up all the nutrients before the grass will. So over time, over the next few months, this grass is going to just start thinning out. You can see how new it is here. Let's see. Oh, look, it's brand new. Still not even completely rooted in here. But it is producing new growth, which is surprising. So right underneath this tree, this grass is going to start to suffer. Over time, this grass will stop growing, stop producing new growth, and just completely die out. Look at this beautiful tree limb. Look how far out that comes. Huge, beautiful tree. Provides excellent shade at this park. This nice pavilion here. What a beautiful area we have here. At the moment, I'm in Mobile, Alabama, at a local park. So, let me throw the ball. Oh, ricochet. This way. So we're talking about Bermuda being the worst option for shade. What would have been a better option here? Well, there are multiple, I say multiple, there are, man, I'm getting good at hitting that limb right there. There are better shade tolerant options out there, zoysia grass being one. I mentioned earlier that Bermuda grass needs a full 8 hours of direct sunlight. Zoysia typically needs about 4 hours of direct sunlight for it to grow better. You won't even get 4 hours of sunlight underneath this tree here. So I would suggest not even planting grass underneath this tree unless you have the expectations of resodding once every 2 years. St. Augustine grass is probably the best option to grow in the shade. So if you really wanted grass to grow here, I would plant St. Augustine grass. Being here in the South, Mobile, Alabama, St. Augustine would be a great choice. St. Augustine's nickname is the shade grass of the South. So that would be the best option here. Definitely not Bermuda. Here directly underneath the tree, not even zoysia, but I would go with St. Augustine directly underneath this tree here. But overall, this huge plot of land here, Bermuda was still a good choice. Out there, once you get out from underneath the tree here, you get full sunlight, and the Bermuda grass is going to end up doing just fine. So here in the full sun, this side has already completely rooted in. Of course, you can still see the lines here, but I'm tugging on it. It has completely rooted in. So Bermuda was still a good choice for this whole plot here. Let's see what we've got over here. Looks like they edged the sidewalk with Bermuda also. Now, we also haven't mowed it yet. I keep saying we. I have nothing to do with this area. I'm just out here visiting. My wife and daughter are roller skating, and I saw this grass, thought I would make a little video about it. So there obviously hasn't been any pre-emergent that has been applied out here. There's all types of weeds. Look at those fire ant beds. And then this is what I call just wild junk grass, just out here. Just anything that grows is growing here. But along the sidewalks, we have Bermuda. So this grass out here in the full sun will end up doing just fine. Let's check this spot right here. Why is this spot here not looking good? We got decent rainfall last night, so things are still wet. I don't know why this one circle here appears to have drought damage. We're getting plenty of rain, so I'm not sure what this browning here is. Full sun, no trees or anything, just right here in the middle of this circle. Not all Bermuda grass is the same though. There are different breeds of Bermuda, some more shade tolerant than others. There's a Celebration Bermuda, a Latitude 36, I believe, Bermuda grass that is more shade tolerant than just common Bermuda. However, all Bermuda needs a decent amount of sunlight for it to do well. Now, when we're talking about smaller trees, there's a higher chance of the grass doing well underneath these smaller trees like this. However, you still have the problem of the roots of the tree pulling in the nutrients. Trees will always gather nutrients before the grass is able to. So it's always going to be hard to get grass to grow directly underneath a tree. Usually what I tell my customers, if you look up at a tree as far out as the limbs grow, that's usually how far out the roots of the tree grow. So I always try to maintain a small little natural area directly underneath the tree. I wouldn't have planted the grass straight up to the base of the tree. I would have created a mulch circle or a pine straw circle just under the base of that. However, I mean, if you've got the sod, if you already have bought the pallets of sod, you don't want to have any leftover sod. So, I mean, I understand what they did here. They just went ahead and planted the sod just right up against the trees. And you see the lining of trees here around the circle. It looks great right now. This all looks beautiful. This is a great sod job. Nothing wrong here. But for the purposes of this video, we're just talking about, will this Bermuda grass survive in the shade? Definitely not underneath that beautiful huge tree, but there's a better chance of the grass surviving right here underneath these small trees. Irrigation is very important. Grass does need water. We've been getting plenty of rainfall throughout the spring here, so I'm not even sure if they have ran these sprinklers yet. Obviously, you know, they're installed. I'm sure they've tested them, but I don't know the watering schedule out here at this park. But at least twice a week, this grass needs watered. It's getting plenty of moisture because we have nutsedge here. Let's see if I can pull up that nutlet there that the nutsedge is growing from. Usually, if the ground is wet and you're gentle with it, you can get the base up. So what about Bermuda grass that maybe gets a half-day sunlight? So check out this grass here along the sidewalk. We get plenty of sunlight from this direction, but we're still right here underneath shade trees right along this shrub line here. This Bermuda was sodded at the same time as the rest of this area. As a reminder, Bermuda needs about 7 to 8 hours of direct sunlight for it to really do well. I don't know if this section here gets this. It's too late for pre-emergent at this point. It's May, weeds have already germinated and emerged here. So this grass is going to end up having a lot of weeds throughout the summer. It's going to have crabgrass, all types of broadleaf weeds. Nutsedge is already out. So you could treat this area with a post-emergent herbicide to get rid of some of these weeds, or this park here may not even care about weeds. If you keep it mowed, it's going to end up looking great. And if we're talking about different types of grasses, what grass is best for the shade, I'm going to say there is no grass that's really great for shade. There's worse, a little less worse, a little less worse than that. Bermuda grass being the worst type of grass that you can plant in the shade. Zoysia grass a little better. Zoysia needs about 4 hours of direct sunlight for it to do well. Centipede grass is probably one that's kind of iffy. I don't have too much experience seeing centipede in the shade. There is one property that I go to a few times a year that has centipede grass in the shade. I'll try to go check the status of that here pretty soon. And then St. Augustine is your best shade tolerant option. Fescue does pretty well in the shade, but I don't deal with a lot of fescue here in the Mobile and the Birmingham, Alabama areas. But from what I've heard, fescue does fine in the shade. But as far as living in the South, St. Augustine is your best option. But I'm curious to just continue checking the status of this Bermuda grass underneath this tree here. I love this tree. This is one of the prettiest trees I've ever seen. Looks great right here next to this pavilion. Good spot where if there's an event going on here, hang out in the shade on a hot day. But yeah, I'm going to keep checking the status of this Bermuda grass here just to see how well it does throughout the summer. But from my experience, 15 years of lawn care experience, I never see Bermuda grass doing well in the shade, especially when you're dealing with a tree this big here. I'll make sure my dog is okay. So this grass is going to end up dying, thinning out here. So here is your weekly reminder to get outdoors, enjoy the sunshine, take your family outside, have a beautiful day.